Hello, and welcome to the Minetest Mumble Wrapper tutorial for 0.2. So the main use of Mumble positional audio is for its proximity voice chat, which can be very immersive and really changes the way you communicate.
You're that weird kid that just sits at the bottom of the pool just to brag that they can hold their breath longest.
So basically how the mod works is that you have your Minetest and it has your player chords and view angle and stuff like that. And for Minetest, it prints it out and is picked up by the Mumble Wrapper program, which it then sends to Mumble, which handles all of the audio, panning, volume, all of that. Now, it doesn't matter which OS you're on, you always have to get your Mumble. So you just go to mumble.com, pick whichever OS is yours, in my case Windows, and just download the client. And now once it's done downloading, just run the installer. And once it's done installing, just do the audio tuning wizard, which will get you started. Now you should hear your own mic on this page. All you really have to do is, once you hear your mic, then you're good to go. Just make sure you enable positional audio right there. So
this is an example of speech.
If you have headphones, you just click that. Otherwise, you just leave it like that.
This is an example.
If you have speakers. So once that's done, just go into Configure and Settings. And make sure the advanced options are visible. And go down to Audio Output. And again, make sure that this is enabled. And adjust these sliders as you need. On my server, you'll want minimum distance at 1, bloom at 150%, maximum distance at 30, and minimum volume at 0. Then go down to plugins. Make sure link to game and transmit position is on, and also make sure link v1.2.0 or whatever version you have is also on. Alright. My server, Mumble server IP and such will be in the description.
Connected.
If you're on my server, you'll want to be in the proximity chat channel if you're on citysim. When you first join a server, it'll probably make you create a new certificate. It's quite easy. You just use the wizard. You just make an automatic one, and it'll just work like that. So now that Mumble's set up, you can just download Minetest if you don't have it already. And this, from now on, this bit is for Windows. I'll have a link in the description for the timestamps of Linux and more Mac directions. So yeah, just pick your Windows download. Before we get that, if you're doing an entirely new installation, there's actually an option on the Minetest Mumble Wrapper release page right here to actually get Minetest 5.0.1 with everything Minetest wise set up. So if you don't have Minetest, or you don't mind having a new install, you can just download that and it'll be good to go. Otherwise, just pick your 64 or 32-bit, just download that. And when that's done, you can just extract it wherever you want. And there you go, you have Minetest. Now you just need to get the Mumble Wrapper part. So if you're on Windows, you just grab this and download that, and you also want the citysim. And if it warns you about it not being commonly downloaded, just ignore that. Now, there's also I have a few helper batch files that can make it easier to install. So we got all of our things together. We'll just put them on the desktop. Alright, and first, if you want to use the helpers, they don't work all the time, but what you do is you move that to the main Minetest folder with the folders bin, client mods, and the Minetest configuration folder, or file, and you just extract it there. 7-zip you just do extract here. If it's something else, just make sure that you get rid of that last bit so it doesn't make its own folder. So we have these 4 files in with the bin and client mods and other folders. If you do it the other way, accidentally or for whatever reason, and it creates its own folder, just make sure to grab it and move it out first. And then when that's done, just make sure that there isn't any Minetest programs running. You just run the auto install batch file. It may warn you Windows, I mean, it might not trust it, but it's, you know, all it really does is move some things and change some configurations. So yeah, it moved it, it changed this stuff, and that's all you have to do for the Minetest side of things if you're using the auto launcher. If you're using the auto installer. If you're using the auto launcher, you might want to edit it and to make sure that the mumble path is correct. So in my case, this is correct, but in your case, you might need to go to Mumble and open the file location. Do that as many times as you need, and then just replace whatever's here. Just copy that and put it here. Oops. Just like that. Then it should work. You can see it automatically joins my Mumble server and the proximity chat channel. And it also starts minimize, which I think has some issues in other places, but you can delete this if you want or if you have to. Alright, and if you're installing manually, just extract your Minetest. Or if you have it already, just skip this. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go into your bin folder and put down the Minetest Mumble Wrapper program. Okay, and that's all you have to do there. And then you go into your client mods folder and put the CSM there. Just double check that it's called Mumble and there's the init.lua right inside. Next, if you don't have one already, create a mods.conf or mods.conf. Then open it up and just enter in load mod mumble equals true. And then just save and close. And then when you start up Minetest, just use this. And just go into settings, go in all settings, and look up client, and set client modding enabled. Also, you might want to enter in logging, and change your debug log level to nothing, because then it will not make a debug.txt and fill it with all of your in-game positional data. So when that's done, you're done. And so to test it out, we just start Mumble, join the server,
Connected.
go on the correct channel, and we'll just join my citysim server. Alright, so when you load it up, it'll say up here that the mod is loaded if you're using this version, and it also should say in Mumble Minetest linked. And then on my server it says that we're connected with positional audio right there. And on my server it'll let you know if you're in the wrong channel. See, if we move channel over here, it'll say we're not in the correct Mumble channel. Or if we go back in and we deafen ourselves, it'll also say that you should not be deafened. I mean, it's not much good if you can't hear anything. So yeah, and I suggest teaming up with another person who has it set up and just double checking that it works properly. And a good way to do that is to have the other person talk when they're not nearby, and if you can hear them on my server, that means that you did not set your Mumble sliders correctly. And you need to go back and make sure in advanced audio output that the minimum volume is 0 and the maximum distance is 30, or whatever it says in the description of the proximity chat channel. After that, you can just meet them up with them and just test it out and see how it works. And that's it for the Windows setup. Alright, and here's the Linux part of the tutorial. At the site, you can select the Linux and it will give you instructions. In my case, I can just apt-get install Mumble just with sudo. So sudo apt-get install Mumble, and it'll download it and install it automatically. It might have you confirm, but it doesn't look like it's going to for me. Alright. And then just like at the start of the video, you just do the audio wizard. You should hear yourself here and make sure that's enabled. Just do all the other things, and just like before, advanced, wherever that is. Where is it? I think it always does advanced. But yep, just make sure everything's set. The positional audio is checked there, as well as here and here. Yeah, it's pretty much the same as on Windows. And then you get Minetest. Now, at the time of the making of this video, the actual repository is up to date, so you can just sudo apt get Minetest. Oops, install Minetest. It'll get what at the moment is the latest version. Now, it might be out of date, in which case you'll need to get the source code. Just clone it or download it, and then just follow the compiling Minetest wiki, which as always I'll just put in the description. It's a little bit advanced, but it's not as hard as it looks. Alright, and then you just need the CSM and the executable. I don't have any Mumble ready zips or anything like that. You just have to install it manually on Linux and Mac. And it's pretty much the same on Linux as Mac, but I don't have a Mac, so I can't do a tutorial for that. But it's similar enough. So go ahead and grab that and this. Alright, so you can just open this up, and I'll go ahead and start with unzipping the CSM just by opening a terminal there. And if you don't have it, you can get it, but the command is just unzip and then the file you want to unzip. Just make sure you're in the right folder, in my case downloads, and that'll take care of it. It's right there. And usually on Linux, all of your mods will be installed in root or home .minetest. So if I just cut this and then I go up here and go to .minetest, there we have our client mods folder. If there isn't one there, you can make one, and then you can see I already have it here, but I can just go ahead and paste and replace, and there it is. And then you can edit this with the program of your choice. In my case, I'll be using Nano. And just make sure that there is a load _mod _mumble equals true. And if there's one that says false, then just change it to true. And that's all you need to do. Just, in my case, Control X. I'll close out of that. Alright. So then, we'll go back to downloads. If I can spell. Nope. Alright, and your Minetest might be in somewhere different, but in my case, my Minetest is somewhere where this guy can find easily. So I can just, first I'll want to make sure that it has executable permissions. So we'll just do that. chmod with an argument +x, and then just do the file name, and it should be good. So I can just run this, and it'll start up Minetest. And again, make sure if you open up a client, you search for client in settings, and just make sure client modding is enabled. Oops, just like that. And if you want, you can also disable logging by just setting it to nothing. Now, if it doesn't know where it is, you can either just run it and then put in whatever path to your Minetest executable is. I mean, whatever it is, you can just put that in as an argument and it'll just run just the same. And if you want, you can make a shell file. Just make it Minetest mumble.sh, and you can just again, with the text editor of your choice, just edit it and just put in whatever the path to your Minetest, this guy. Let's get rid of that. Yeah. And then as an argument, whatever path to your Minetest. In my case, I'm pretty sure it is in user games Minetest. And there it is. And then just make sure it has executable permissions. And then you can just run it. But yeah, right there it says Mumble rewards connected with positional audio, and it'll only say that if you're on my server or somebody with that specific thing. But you can also just go in Mumble and it'll say Minetest linked. There you go. And again, I suggest you trying it out and making sure it works with another positional audio user. And yeah, that's about it. If you have issues, just go back and redo the steps and make sure there's no typos. Otherwise, you can leave a comment below and I'll try to get to you. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the mod. I'll see you around.
And if I spin around, your talking actually changes what year it's from. That is neat.
Yeah.
Hi!
Hello.
Oh, and Mayo is at my home.
Oh yeah, and he's shooting at us. Okay, come with me.
Please, give the grenades back later.
Didn't yell.
Yeah, it takes exactly 9.
Yeah. Yeah, I was left with 1 HP. It's like, whew, that was close.
That's like way too rich.
Oh no.
I think he
Think he missed.
that was the best. So, I wasn't here. I did not murder anyone. I'm just gonna.